leadership theories in 12 O'Clock High. In watching 12 O'Clock High, I think, the main conflict is there are two separate leaders that are presented. There's the first leader, Davenport, and the second leader, Savage, after Davenport's demoted of his command. The reason that he gets demoted from his command is because he is too concerned with the individual people rather than the tasks. He, at one point, he refuses to take a man off of his flight, even though the man was making mistakes, because he knew how much that would hurt that soldier, and he knew how much that pilot wanted to fly, because that was one of his navigators, and that I'm gonna come back around to that. It reminds me, with the flight and with the dialogue, it reminds me there's a brief line in Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith where Anakin and Obi-Wan are in their starfighters piloting a mission at the beginning, and all their clone troopers are backing them up, and Anakin says, well, they're struggling, I'm gonna go help them, and Obi-Wan says, no, they're doing their job so we can do ours. Part of the problem with Davenport's entire approach to the leadership was that because he was running safer missions, the missions weren't as effective, and they were having to run them again and again, and that was costing them more men. And it is very hard, I think, I know it's the kind of leadership I couldn't do, to make those decisions, be like, well, I have to let some men die and do something more dangerous in the short run because that will save more men in the long run. Those are high pressure situations, and it reminds me again of bounded rationality and having to make the best choice for the situation while it's happening. I think I was reminded most in this movie of Henry Fales, the 14 Principles of Management. Principle 1 is the division of work, specialty points, and when what's his name, Davenport is defending his man, they're telling him, well, that's not, we'll find you someone who can do that task. It wasn't that task wasn't that special. It was that he was valuing his man's feelings over what was actually best for the group. This unity of command, unity of direction, number 4 and 5. The command really, I think that's part of the reason there was so much struggle is when he gets demoted, the new commander comes in, there's not a unity of command. And he's not in command anymore, but if we remember from being a leader, official, informal, and formal leaders, I think that he still has some of that command. I think Davenport still has some of that command over the 9/18th, in some ways, because he's still, even though he's not an official leader, they still maybe see him a bit that way. So there's not a unity of command. There's not a unity of direction. Number 6, subordination of individual interests over the general interest. Again, with the scene where he's trying to not hurt this kid's feelings, and let him keep flying, even though the kid made a mistake, and those 3 minutes of that flight are going to cost men lives. And then the last one, of course, number 14, and this was something I think was listed for the 12 O'Clock High, esprit de corps, the spirit of the body. I think that there really was a lot of loss of people feeling like that they had that spirit, because the 9/18th was labeled the hard luck group. And once you start telling yourself that your group is no good, or that your group is just doomed, it can really become a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think the power of what we say, what we project, affects us a lot. Just like in Apollo 13, when the guy says, um, like the president's asking him for a number of the probability that the mission wouldn't work, or that they wouldn't be able to bring the men back, and he said, no, we're bringing those men back. And he doesn't know that, but he has to project that. I think that has to do with attribution theory too, and that's something that I think about a lot. Like, how do you make yourself look like a leader? Because you may be formally a leader, but you need, like with you need people that attribute leadership to you. So how do you do that? I know in my own life, I think that speaking clearly, making eye contact, giving a firm handshake has been super important. Like, for people to see me as a leader, see me as the real deal, because, and that's how you start building up those idiosyncrasy credits too. I know, like, as a muralist, anytime I meet someone who is doing some kind of thing in Abilene, or I shake their hands and I say, my name's David, I'm an artist, I'd love to shoot you my portfolio if you're looking for a muralist. Clear, concise, and a lot of times, I actually get people that are like, okay, I'm interested. Send me your stuff. And I think the more times that happens, the more projects that I get stacked up, the more people know that I can do it. Those idiosyncrasy credits start getting stacked up. Actually, and this, I'm kind of coming off of the 12 o'clock high here because we're trying to bring all of these concepts together, but I was really talking about attribution theory, how I present myself. This is an interesting thought that I had that I really wanted to share. I was interviewing for a mural position over at the Leaf because they're opening their new location later this summer. It got pushed back, and I was sitting in Jay's office, had my like outline of costs and everything. We're just getting into it, and someone, the leader of the Center for Contemporary Arts, who knows me, knows Jay, did not know we were talking about an art exchange. He comes in and he says, oh wow, have you seen his art? You ought to get him to do something for you. It's bitchin'. And to have someone in the community like that to like say, hey, like, he's respected, all of a sudden Jay's respecting me, and we're both thinking the same thing, like, all right, like, we're gonna do this. And so when I got that job, like, that was partially due to those idiosyncrasy credits. And that, to tie that back around to 12 o'clock high, you do lose idiosyncrasy credits. If I mess up this first mural job, the other guys that I'm shaking their hands are going to see that around the community, and they're going to be like, oh, well, he's not really worth the price, We're paying this kid a couple $1,000 to, we're not getting a good product. And I think that's the same way for Davenport. He's a nice guy, and they even say, like, he's doing everything right, by the book, he's courageous, but the fact is he's just not getting results, and he's losing men, and that's where he starts to lose those idiosyncrasy credits. So that's, I think, something you have to watch for as a leader. Is everything you does matter, especially in that starting off, because if I mess up one job that's a big job, that's all that they've seen that I can do. So I think it's about finding your way that way. Lost my train of thought there for a second. Okay. And then again with the group efficacy, and the Star Trek thing, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and it's really hard because I think Davenport is a fantastic leader. He's just not a good military leader, and I understand that because I related to his character a lot because that's exactly where I would have been. It would be hard for me to look at my men as a resource and not, human beings. But like that. Yeah. So I think I think really what 12 o'clock high shows us is that there are different kinds of leaders that need to be plugged into different situations, and just because someone is a good leader does not mean that they're going to be the best leader for any situation. It was my biggest takeaway.